Focus. All right, click the links for Odyssey, Bit Chute, or the Telegram. So, two very careful articles, this and the Bob Saget thing. So, you probably saw this video. Heather MacDonald, who's 50 years old, she's thin, looks fit, probably, otherwise reasonably good health. She said she's never had a fainting episode before. She was on stage doing her bit, and she started to stagger, and then she went down and she hit her head on the stage. And the thing is, even if you're in the audience, you should have been able to hear people laugh. They kind of thought it was part of the bit, but as you listen to it, you could hear her head hit the stage, a wooden stage. It's like, oh, she cracked her skull. She's probably going to be fine, hopefully. And she was making jokes about the Wu flu and receiving preventative, the symptom mitigator experimental treatment that has been going around. So it was kind of timing, like people are laughing about the timing. She said she had a shingles thing and a inoculation, and then the Wu flu and a bunch of other stuff. And then she just started to stagger a little bit. And she's 50, but she's got to be like 120 pounds. She's really lean, so she's definitely eating right and taking care of herself. And they don't know what happened. I mean, it's just a funny coincidence that she made a joke about having the the experimental treatment, and it's just a weird coincidence that everyone's kind of pointed out. But anyway, so she goes through the article, and she's never had a fainting spell before, and it's when you faint on stage after you brag about being getting that experimental treatment. Weird timing, but it's just coincidence because she was probably dehydrated. That was probably it, I'm sure that was maybe low blood sugar. You got to watch the glycemic index, the glycemic load. Just CAT scan, she's going to be fine. Just dehydration. 51 years old. She's been doing stand up probably for 30 years. You would think you would kind of be up on your hydration. You have to do like a 40-minute set. You would know to drink a lot of water. It's better to be hydrated and have a full bladder and just have to pee immediately afterwards than to be dehydrated. You want to be. She probably is well aware of blood sugar levels and not wanting to be. She wants to be at her peak on stage, but she's been doing this for decades. So it's kind of a weird coincidence that she fainted on stage. And the important part is that she hit her head. And if you watch the thing, you can hear her hit her head. And it's like, oh, it's hard to watch because head injuries are no joke for anyone. And usually a rule of thumb is if you're feeling faint, get to the ground immediately. It's better to control yourself getting down low than to fall down. That's just a little preventative care tip right there. So here's another interesting article I came across. It is completely unrelated. Bob Saget, I don't know how old he is, in his 60s, otherwise normal, healthy guy, at a hotel room, and they discovered that the cause of death was accidental head trauma. Which is funny because the Heather MacDonald thing I just pointed out was her. She was on stage. She was joking about getting the Wu flu experimental treatment, and she staggered and fell and hit her head as she joked about getting that thing. And then this other article I just came across is kind of another just a weird coincidence. He has head trauma. For some reason, he felt faint or hit his head, or one of a dozen other likely explanations. Could have been a mountain lion crept in his room, They scared each other. A mountain lion turned around and ran out, and Bob Saget bumped into the wall behind and hit the head. He had some kind of head trauma, and for some reason, he went back to sleep. I don't know how they reconstructed all this kind of stuff. So he had some kind of head trauma, which is weird. So he goes to sleep, and because of that head trauma, he didn't survive. Any kind of head trauma is very, very serious. But I just thought it was interesting. Coincidence. He was probably maybe low blood sugar himself, or maybe dehydrated. I'm not sure how old he was but he's got to be like over 65 when he did this. It doesn't say. So he was, probably dehydrated or low blood sugar. It was just an interesting coincidence. And he actually, if you read his social media posts, he talked about having also taken that experimental treatment, the symptom mitigator treatment for the the gift from China. So just kind of too interesting. They're just coinkydinks, and I'm not saying anything more than that. I don't know how sophisticated the YouTube algorithm is, because YouTube is serious asshole. So just two weird coinkydinks. She fell and hit her head after she bragged about that, joked about it. I mean, she's a comedian. I mean, I don't know the odds of. It's pretty rare that you're going to find a funny woman, and I doubt that she's the exception. But people seem to like her, and I think I've seen her in shows where she did a good job. So she fell and hit her head after she got that treatment, and so did he. And I kind of wonder, like, I'm not saying the two are connected, because I don't think you can say that on YouTube. But maybe it's something to look into. Does it cause? Does it cause? Like, what affects blood pressure? What pumps the blood that would affect blood pressure? I'm not really into biology, so I'm not really sure what would affect that. If there's any commonalities, I'm sure I wouldn't know about that. But it's interesting. Maybe like you would think the media would be looking more into it. It seems like a lot of athletes have also had issues on the field. Where they have suddenly taken ill. And as people on Twitter point out, like, athletes die every year. It's true. And they look to, last year, 50 European soccer players passed away or something, or whatever it was. You look at it and it's like, yeah, those are because they ran into each other, suffered head injury, and died. Or one was struck by lightning. So there's all pretty kind of reasonable explanations. Where it seems like there's a lot of soccer players, football players, they call them over there, who have had sudden issues that caused them to fall down and depart this mortal coil. It seems like the kind of overrepresentation of guys who are, or men and women who are, in their 20s to 40s, but they're at the absolute peak of physical fitness, and they had a lot of issues. So it's weird that it's all kind of happening right now. I'm not sure what is going on, if there's something going on that's causing this. But it's also odd that the media is not really investigating it. You would think they would. They just kind of, they report on this stuff and they go through the whole thing, and it's like, they never come to any. Oh, he's 65 years old. They never come to any conclusions about what happened. Just they go through the whole article, and she's 51, and she's very skinny. So she's probably eating very right. They ran heart tests, everything's fine. No aneurysms, no heart problems. Just felt faint and just passed out on stage. I'm sure there's nothing more to look into other than that. Anyway, like, comment, subscribe. I'll see you guys on the next episode.